Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back to Cherry and Timber Talk. And we are joined here by a very special guest, Abhijit Deshmukh from Pune. Hey, Abhijit, how are you doing?
Hi, Venu. Hi, Mahesh. How are you guys?
Hi. Good, good, good.
So glad to have you here. Abhijit is a super duper sports enthusiast. He's also a journalist. He covers a lot of sports. He has been to the 2016 Olympics. He also intends to go for the 2021 in Tokyo if it happens. Fingers
Yeah.
crossed. Fingers crossed
So,
about that. So yeah, Abhijit, welcome to the show. So glad to have you here.
thank you, Venu, and thanks, Mahesh.
All right. So, Abhijit, what was your reaction to the England tour on a whole? We won all the series, the test
Yeah.
matches, the T20s, the ODIs. So, coming back to the ODIs, which just happened last week in Pune, and you being from Pune, so what was
Yeah.
your overall reaction to what happened?
Actually, I was disappointed because audience was not allowed. Anyways, that's a different topic. But
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, I think the third of one day was, a game to be remember.
yeah,
Everyone knows what happened and how thrilling it was, like a roller coaster ride, and the way Sam Curran played. And but in the
yeah.
end, yeah, the better team won. I think it's one of the great, tour. I would say the way Test matches was happened, then the T20s, and then the ODIs. With this
Hmm.
pandemic situation, it was the first tour after the pandemic that happened in India. So a
Yeah.
very special one, I would say.
Agreed. Absolutely agreed. And yeah, I think to end in that dramatic fashion, Mahesh, that was like, a fitting finale to two really good white ball teams competing against each other.
Oh yeah, what a match it was. It was when we were playing the last T20 international. I think we did a show that day, and we said it
Yeah.
is like finals, right? And the same thing happened in the 50 over format as well. The last match was like the
Yep.
finals. The scoreboard
Yep.
pressure came into play. Though
Yep.
India batted first, which was considered to be a disadvantage by a lot of people because the due factor and everything else. But the scoreboard
Yeah.
pressure got the better of England, and then it
Yep.
required a very very special innings by Sam Curran to take
Yep.
England almost home. I thought he
Yep.
played a brilliant innings. I thought he played an outstanding innings. He was slightly unlucky, probably at the end,
Hmm.
that he didn't have the kind of support that he should have had. But from,
Yep.
from a situation of that to take England so close to a victory, I think he played brilliantly. It only
Yep.
augurs very well for Chennai Super Kings because he's going to play for the CSK very shortly.
Yep.
And guess what? What augurs well for Sunrisers is the fact that what a last over by Natarajan, man. That
Yep.
was special. That was something special. After what happened in that innings, he was clobbered around the park and low on confidence to come back, Abhijit,
Yep.
and to bowl that kind of an over. Right? It takes some kind of courage and determination.
Yeah, I think this young generation is having something X factor in them. Like you don't expect such in such a tremendous pressure to bowl that
Yeah.
last over. But I think credit also goes to Hardik Pandya for bowling
Yeah.
that 48 over where he gave only 5 runs. But I
Yeah.
guess it's the competition which that Rajan is showing on it. It's getting hard onto other bowlers like
Yeah.
Shami, Bhuvi, and all others.
Yeah.
It's giving a very good
Problem to have.
choice. Yeah, so I think it's going to be a headache for the selectors when they select
Yep.
for the team
Yep.
for the coming
Yep.
future and maybe
Yep.
for the World Cup. But I think it was a super bore by Natarajan. I would say after he got
Yeah.
hammered initially.
Exactly.
Then
Exactly. And that too under so much pressure and with due to have that control and to nail it every ball, right? That Yorker length, it's like amazing.
yeah,
Honestly, I was a little jittery when that last over was given to Natarajan because of what happened in that game earlier.
yeah.
He wasn't having any rhythm at all and he was spraying the ball all over the place. But he showed what he was in the side for. Yeah, yeah, Mahesh.
Even in the first ODI also, Prasidh Krishna had a forgetful first spell, but then he came back at 4 wickets on his debut match. So it just goes
Yep.
to show like, exactly what Abhijit was talking about. The youngsters play fearless cricket. They don't mind what has happened in the last ball. The previous ball, they forget that itself. So that is
Yes.
why they come with a lot of positiveness to
Yep.
every ball that they bowl or field, and that is the
Yep.
reason why I think India played so well. And remember, India's bowling was without Shami, without Bumrah.
Bumrah.
So just get these guys into the team. This team looks really, really strong, doesn't it?
Which again comes to our point, right? Sorry, Abhijit, just one more point, which again comes to our point, which we have been making for the last 3 months now, I think, from the Australian tour, that how hard is it going to be for anybody now to get into this Indian team across all formats, right? Because there's so much competition and everybody coming in is just performing, right? There is absolutely no fear of, being in your debut series or a debut game, or, absolutely no nervousness, they are just coming in. It's like what do you say? It's kind of a, in and out kind of thing. Whoever comes in, performs, goes out. That's how it's, it's, yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're saying something, Abhijit. Sorry.
Yeah, I think the performance of Bhuvnesh Kumar, he made a good comeback. I would say he didn't pick many wickets, but he was very economical. If you say, I think first match he was two point something, and even in the last match he was 4 point something. So I think that's also he's doing what expected from him. So that's a very good performance by Bhuvi.
Yeah, I think that was one of the most positive things for us as Indians to have seen from the series. Bhuvneshwar Kumar coming back to form and bowling the way he did was sublime, man. That was so super to watch, right? The swing, the control, and the kind of variation that he had. Jason Roy was literally his bunny, right? In all the games, he just could not read anything, what's coming in, what's going out, and it was phenomenal to watch. And I think another positive, guys, was Shardul Thakur. I felt that the way he was picking up wickets in the middle of the inning, that was so critical for India's success, both in T20s as well as in the ODIs. I mean, that was actually one area of concern, if I could say, because of the fact that after Kuldeep and Chahal were broken apart in that partnership, and now we did not have any wicket-taking option in the middle overs. So I think Shardul Thakur picking those wickets is becoming a big, big plus for us now.
Yep.
Yeah, because also we all know that the match is decided between the 15th and the 40th over. Who controls that part goes on to win the game. And that is why it's so important to pick up in the middle overs. Our spinners used to do it, time and again. But this time, I think Shardul Thakur, though he's a little expensive at times, but I wouldn't mind that a bit, because if he picks up wickets, even if he's going at 6 or 7 runs and over, it doesn't matter. He picks up 3 or 4 wickets, he gets India back into the game.
He reminds us of Ajit Agarkar, doesn't he? From the early 90s and early 2000s, he was also similar, that typical all-round category player, and, was expensive, but picks up those wickets all the time, right? He's always there and thereabouts. You know that there's a wicket around the corner when he's bowling. You might see some runs flowing, but then, he's always coming back and back. So that's something interesting. All right, guys, coming back to the IPL now. So I think this is going to be interesting because there's a lot of events which have happened in the past 1 week with regards to players pulling out. Mahesh, how do you see that now? Because, it completely takes off the team balance to another level, right? So it's going to be difficult.
So my belief is that if somebody doesn't want to, it's fine. It's up to him. He may not be comfortable being in the bio bubble for another 6 months. Most of these players have been in bio bubbles over the last 6-8 months. They wouldn't want to be. But then in the case, they should have told the owners right at the beginning, and should have pulled out just before the auction. I mean, you can't do that at the 11th hour, right? I mean, like what you said, it completely puts the balance of the team off guard. I mean, the teams don't know how to react. I think that's a little unprofessional on their part. Of course, if they have an injury or something like that, I can completely agree with it. But just to suddenly say, I'm not comfortable in the bio bubble for the next 6 weeks, so I'm getting out of the tournament. Come on, you knew about it right at the beginning, right? I mean, it was no surprise for you. You knew what you were getting into. I think they should have been a little more professional. They should have agreed to it or disagreed to it at least a month before, so that the team would have taken enough measures going into the IPL. It's a big event, mind you. It's a big event.
Mega event.
Yep, absolutely. Yep. It's a great Indian festival, right? Which happens every year in the month of April and May. So, I think I completely agree. It's, we are living in troubled times. We understand that fact. And, obviously it's not a normal year by any means. But then again, like Mahesh said, Abhijit, there has to be some kind of professionalism as well as some kind of accountability on the players' part as well. Because, it's not always, it doesn't work one way. It works both ways, right? Because if the team is looking after you, the team has shown trust in you and they're paying huge money to get you in as well, right? So I think there has to be some responsibility in terms of helping the team management with taking early decisions, There's
Yeah.
absolutely no doubt about the mental health as well as the physical, fear of being in a COVID environment. So, but then that has to be backed with some logic. It cannot be the 11th hour.
I mean, it's such a team event, and it's not like individual
Yeah,
where you can say,
yeah,
I can come, so that's okay. But I
yeah,
think maybe from next time onwards, the franchisee may, come up with some clause while when they sign, like you have to be there unless injured.
yes,
Because it is every time you play an IPL, there's something every time a new learning coming up. So I
yep,
think this would be a good point for the franchise, like you
yep,
cannot just take out or pull back because
yep.
of these reasons. Because you never know what can happen in the coming future.
Exactly. Agreed. So, what do you feel, Abhijit? Who are the top contenders apart from Mumbai Indians? We know what kind of a side they
Yeah,
are and how strong they are. What do you feel? With Delhi Capitals now naming Rishabh Pant
yeah,
as the captain?
yeah. I think if you see that since the time they have changed from Delhi Daredevils to Delhi Capitals, along with the name, their performance has also improved. And 2 years back, I think they reached playoffs, finished third, lost in the
Yeah.
second qualifier to Chennai, and last year they
Mm,
finished runner-up. Maybe don't
mm,
know what could happen taking a
yeah.
game again this time, and it will be
Mm,
interesting. I was, to be honest, was surprised when Rishabh
mm,
Pant was picked up because you had
yeah.
Ajinkya was there, Ashwin was there, and Steve Smith was there.
Steve.
So I
Yeah.
was predicting, maybe Steve Smith will be
Mm,
the captain. But I think
mm,
they're looking for the future for
yeah.
sure. The upcoming, auctions, there will be at least 2 to 3 names. Where you have
Yeah.
to keep
Yeah.
the players. So I think Rishabh Pant is not going to move out of Delhi Capitals for at least for the
Mm,
next decade, and then
yeah.
this is their long time plan.
Yeah.
And I think it will be interesting how he take up the
Yeah.
opportunity. I think squad is really good. I mean,
Yeah.
the banking is like superb. You just name it and you have everyone. I think they also had some good buys in the auction. Steve Smith joined, and I think a couple of more boys who joined. I think they are like very strong team on the paper, and
Mm,
which gives you confidence. This team can at least reach the playoffs. So
yep.
I think, yeah, Delhi is my first pick for the playoff, apart from Mumbai.
Interesting. And Mahesh, I think the logic behind picking Rishabh Pant would have been, obviously he will be a permanent member of the squad no matter what. With all due respect to Ajinkya Rahane and to even Steve Smith, I don't think they will be a full-fledged. I mean, they'll be a sure shot, selection every day, right? Because there might be, people who will be coming in and out. Ashwin, maybe, yes, he will be there, but there could be concerns with injury or something like that. That's why probably they picked him. And maybe Rishabh Pant being on a high that he is right now, probably Ponting sensed that, and he wanted to give that extra sense of responsibility to him since his confidence is so high, right?
Yeah, but I think they've taken a hurried decision. I would want to
Mm,
hold him for some more, maybe a couple of
mm,
years before we see. Like what Abhijit said, he's going to be there for another 10 years for sure. Okay, for
yep,
the Delhi
yep.
Capitals, and the captaincy would come to him at some point of time. I
Mm,
see he's a free flowing player. When
yep.
players like this are given the extra responsibility, they might change their game because they would want to
Mm,
set an example. And in doing so, when you play differently and not the game that you're usually used to playing, you might not be as successful as what you were, right?
yep.
So I would have held on to him for probably another couple of years before giving him the captaincy. See, he had a horrible IPL last time around,
Yeah.
but he went to Australia, played brilliantly, came here, played brilliantly against England. So he's in great form,
Mm,
right?
yep.
So
Yep.
if I was Ricky Ponting, I would use his form to win the IPL rather than to give him that extra responsibility on which
Mm,
probably you don't know that he might not be able to deliver. And if that happens, I think it will be a
yeah.
very sad thing for somebody like Rishabh Pant. I mean, he plays beautiful cricket, doesn't he? I mean, he plays all the so the moment you're a captain, you want to lead by example, and that is the time when you don't play those cheeky shots, which otherwise he would have played. So I don't know whether that's a very smart decision by giving him the captaincy. Maybe they could have given Ajinkya Rahane because he was a very good captain in Australia. And now
Yep.
since Shreyas Iyer is not there, he
Mm,
will play most of the matches, hopefully. So
correct.
probably he could have been the captain, and Rishabh Pant could have been his understudy, and probably only in a couple of years, maybe next year or something, he could have taken over the captaincy. So that's a
Hmm.
little bit of an issue as far as I'm concerned with Rishabh Pant being made as the captain of the Delhi Capitals.
Yeah, I think you make a fair point wherein you say that, when you are a leader of the team, right, and when you are such a free-flowing player, there's one dilemma which already creeps in your mind, that when you play those audacious shots, what if you get out? Will the media and the fans question the responsibility factor wherein, you are the captain of the side, you can't play such shots in such situations, right? I think that's what creeps in. But
Yeah.
I hope so that he doesn't change his style, he doesn't change his game, because yeah, Abhijit, you're saying something.
I think Ricky Ponting went with that कि लोहा गरम है मार दो हथौड़ा. So I think because he was
Yeah,
such a super hot form from the Australia
exactly.
team.
That was
Just give
my
it a
thought
try.
process as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
correct.
So,
I think he's
I
just
think it's a,
riding on his form and confidence. Probably that's
yeah.
what he's doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think taking risk is now a very common approach. That's what I'm seeing. Even
Yeah.
Rajasthan Royals went with Sanju Samson. So I
That's an
think
interesting choice. Yeah. Yeah.
everyone is going with maybe
Yeah.
seeing from the long term perspective. So yeah, let's
Hmm.
see how it will be interesting.
Yeah, it will be definitely. I think, and I really hope, because we all are Sanju Samsung fans, out here, and the way he started off in the last IPL, we were like,
Yeah.
wow, we were wowed. But I just hope that captaincy changes his approach in the
Yes.
contrary, because we want him to kind of be more responsible and not throw his wicket away, and it's completely opposite to what we think about Rishabh Pant.
But when you see, Rajasthan Royals don't have too many options for captaincy,
Yep.
whereas Delhi
Hmm.
Capitals have a few options. So that is the
Correct.
Yeah.
reason why we want probably a
Yeah.
Ajinkya
Yeah.
Rahane, Steve Smith, or
Yeah.
Ravichandran Ashwin to lead the team. Whereas if you
Yeah.
look at Rajasthan Royals, they've got Butler,
Hmm.
Stokes, and English
Exactly.
players might leave towards the end of the tournament, something like that.
Yep.
So probably
Yep.
that could be the only reason why they would have gone with something like Sanju Samson. But what you said, Sanju
Hmm.
Samson might start playing a little more responsibly because he's the captain, which will do good for the Rajasthan Royals.
Yep, agreed. And I think that's the standard template approach which most of the IPL teams are following now, Mahesh. That they're looking at young Indian talent to lead the side, and they're thinking futuristic instead of short term. I think that's a good approach to have, because if you have to look at the tournament from a long term perspective, you need a captain who will be stable as a captain for next 5 years at least, right? To lead the team to some place. It cannot be that you keep changing captains every year, or if you keep changing your core of the squad, and that's precisely one problem which teams like Kings 11 Punjab and even Rajasthan Royals have had for the last few years, right? They're always somewhere in the middle of the league, or lingering in the bottom of the league, because of the fact that their team is not stable. They don't have a core, where they can rely upon. They don't have anybody who's a regular in the squad for the last 5 or 6 years. Yep.
Okay, I have a question now. My
Hmm.
question is, this is probably Royal Challengers Bangalore's best chance to win because they've got Maxwell now and they've got Virat to open, AB, so the batting is well taken care of. Of course, their bowling is still a little bit of a weak area for them. What happens if they don't make it to the final or does not even make it to the playoff? Will the questions be raised once again whether Virat Kohli is the best captain that India needs in white ball cricket?
So Mahesh, there was no surprise in the fact that when you opened your statement, this is the best chance for Royal Challengers, Royal Challengers of Bangalore to win. That we say every year, literally, right? Nothing changes there because the squad that they have every year looks like this is their best chance to
Yeah.
win. So yeah, I think I'll let Abhijit answer that question maybe.
Yeah, I think it's a very curious case of RCB. I would say, what you got such a great lineups. I mean, two of the best players in the world ever. I think for the T20 format they have played, and there's so much expectation. They play well, but what happens in playoffs? It is still a mystery for me. And I think even sometimes Virat might be thinking, "Arey, kya ho raha hai?" Maybe it's time to show some kundli to someone, like what exactly is the point? Because I think he has said everything.
Yeah.
It's a team game. He has said everything, and
Hmm.
maybe at that crucial point, maybe sometimes I feel the playing 11 sometimes it's that's what
Hmm.
the RCB is the
Hmm.
problem. The batting is superb, outstanding, but I think it's the bowling where somewhere they lack, and I think during the crucial
Hmm.
time they don't get it. But this time Sanjay Bangar is as the batting
Yeah.
consultant for the RCB, And I
Hmm.
think he has been with the Indian team as well for quite a long time. So I think not only as a batting consultant, but he was Punjab 11's coach as well. So he
Hmm.
has that good aura, and players respect him a lot. So that thing will be a crucial another one to
Hmm.
bring down the calmness in the team. So it will be
Hmm.
interesting to watch. And I think if what I feel is, if you have too much pressure, if you have hopes all the time, with this approach they goes in, then I think it will be difficult for them to reach to
Hmm.
the playoff as well. So I think
Hmm.
just play without expectation. That's
And I think
what.
it's a classic case of resource versus resourcefulness, right?
Yeah,
It might be, you might have all the best resources in the world, but you need to know how to use them at the right time, right? So I think that's also it's a question of problem of plenty, right? You have everything, but you don't know how to use them in what format and what kind of situations, right? So that's also a big problem in this format in IPL, right? When you have too many things as well, then you don't know how to fit things. It's like a
yeah,
jigsaw puzzle wherein some
yeah,
things may not fit.
yeah.
Even though how good they are, they may not fit into your
Scheme of
strategy.
things.
Yeah,
RCB
exactly.
reminds me of Real Madrid when they had David Beckham, Ronaldo, Zidane, Luis Figo, Raul, all of those. But at that time they were not able to win the
Hmm.
Champions League or this one. So when you have too much of stars, I
Yeah.
think it is you're not able to balance them better.
Yep.
I think that's what might happens with
Hmm.
RCB.
Correct. And I think to answer your question, Mahesh, if you look at Sunrisers Hyderabad, they are the complete opposite. I mean, with all due respect, Kane Williamson, yes, superstar, no doubt about it. David Warner, yes. But apart from those two, and maybe a Bhuvneshwar Kumar, right? All the others in the squad are, pretty
Rashid,
much players. Sorry,
Rashid Khan.
Rashid Khan, exactly, yeah. So those three or four players who are the core of the side, rest all the players are there who are there to contribute and do a specific role, right? It's not about the aura that they carry around them, or I'm a big player, or I have this record or whatever, right? They pick players based on specific roles, and I think that is one thing which RCB could learn from the other franchises as well, right? Because you need not have the best in the business all the time, because all of that combined together may not form the formidable unit that you're looking for. But if you get a little piece here and there from everywhere to do those smaller roles, which they are lacking right now, especially death bowling, right? So I think that could be a big factor to kind of look at their strategy. So
Yeah.
I think that's where they are probably lacking. And I think that's a smart thing that Sunrisers do every year on year. They focus on those smaller elements, and I think they do the best of their ability with whatever resources they have. I think that's an approach which RCB need to consider. Yep.
Yeah, I
What do you
think
think about Chennai Super Kings?
That's going to be an interesting one because out of everything, I'm actually looking forward to seeing Pujara play for sure. I've seen a few videos of his smacking the ball around, and trust me, it did not look like Cheteshwar Pujara at all. Yeah, yeah. So, what do you feel, Abhijit, about
yeah.
CSK?
See, I go with stats every time the IPL has completely happened in India.
Yeah.
CSK has reached at least the finals.
Hmm.
But last time they finished, I think sixth at the table. I think it's going to be difficult for them to bounce back, and especially
Hmm.
they have a lot of experienced
Hmm.
people. I mean, they don't have too much of young guns in their team, so I think that
Hmm.
will be a very interesting to see how they bounce back. But I think you have a mess. So I think anything is
Hmm.
possible.
Hmm.
So
Interesting.
will be interesting to see.
Yeah, I think especially after what happened last year, Mahesh, it will be, very interesting to see because they have never been in such a situation before. Honestly, they, along with Mumbai Indians, have always been the top two or three ranked teams in the IPL. And of course, their record speaks for themselves.
It will be really interesting to see how Suresh Raina plays this time around, right? Because
Hmm.
last time around he missed the IPL, so he will want to
That was a
prove
big
his
factor. Yeah.
correct.
Yeah.
So if
Yeah.
he is among the runs, so whenever
Hmm.
Suresh Raina has been among the runs, I
Yep.
think Chennai Super Kings have gone on to do very well. So it will
Yep.
be very interesting to see whether he does well. Of course, Watson is not there, so Faf will be there. Sam Curran is good form. They've got some
Yep.
young bowlers in Deepak Chahar and Shardul Thakur. So
Yep.
they have a little bit of Bravo is there.
Hmm.
This all provided everybody is fit enough because they have
Yeah.
an aging team And so because they have an aging team, the injuries come with that, right? So we would be, I mean, everybody wants to see what Chennai Super Kings will dish out this time around. Last time around, they were just not up to it. This time, you don't know with the new players that they've recruited, probably things might change a little bit.
Agreed. And I think probably Sam Curran might be their trump card. That's what I feel. Given his current form and his ability as well, I think he might be the critical factor in CSK to kind of, for their success this time around. And what is also interesting, Mahesh, is that, now we'll be probably seeing a different Raina because he's retired from international cricket. And, we don't know how much cricket he has played of late. Obviously, he would have practiced a lot, but then not having enough games because of COVID and because of retirement, will that also affect Raina, the player? That's also,
Definitely. I think the only player who, without practice, has come and actually played well has been AB de Villiers, because he retired, but but he also does not play out of 14 games. He plays about 4 or 5 only. Okay. But 4 or 5 games at least he ensures RCB wins. Okay, so that's another way of looking at it. But earlier he would play 9 or 10 games. So that was when he was at his prime. He was playing international cricket. Suresh Raina, like what you said so correctly, he has not been playing cricket for a very long time. And you can practice in the nets the way you want because you're not bothered about getting out. Even if you get out, you go back and again bat. But in a match situation, it's not like that. And even Dhoni hasn't played cricket since IPL. So there's a lot of these players like who don't play too much of cricket, and that might actually affect Chennai Super Kings a lot. But maybe Raina might just be in the pink of his form, and if that is the case, then I'm sure they'll do well.
Yeah, I think Dhoni is a good example. He played in the 2019 World Cup. Then for about 14-15 months he didn't play the cricket. So I think we have witnessed like how the match practice is completely turns your game. I mean, he's a world class finisher. And I think as Mahesh said, for Suresh Raina it will be difficult because he might have retired from the international cricket, but had a chance to play in the Syed Mushtaq Ali Trophy as well. But I think he didn't play that. So I think, but I think one good thing for Chennai Super Kings is the player Jagdishan was the highest run scorer in the Syed Mushtaq Ali Trophy. So I think he is going to be one of the promising player along with Ruturaj Gaikwad. I think guys, they'll be and I think Ruturaj Gaikwad played a couple of good innings in last IPL. I think so. Will be a good players to watch out for from CSK.
Will they miss Josh Hazelwood, Mahesh? Do you feel, or is it?
No, they will miss Josh Hazelwood. You need somebody to come out and bowl fast, and probably Josh Hazelwood has the experience. But the last moment drop off, like what we discussed earlier, it doesn't do well. Now they have to go hunting to find somebody who can bowl fast. Well, they've got Uthappa also this time around. They've got Uthappa also. So,
that's an interesting selection. I felt that was quite interesting for sure.
They paid quite a bit for him, so I believe that believe that he's still got a lot of cricket left in him. So Chennai Super Kings will be an interesting team to watch. I don't know how far they'll go in the tournament, but definitely I would love to see a play because they've got some old stars. You expect the old stars to go out and perform every single time they get on the field. It might not happen all the time, but there's always a little bit of charm that they bring to the cricket ground whenever they play.
On a lighter note, I feel, maybe a few years down the line when Josh Hazelwood writes his autobiography, he would have mentioned there, 2021 IPL, I just threw my hat and said, I'm not going to bowl to Pujara in the nets again. I think I'm looking forward
probably
to that.
That's one of the reasons he pulled off.
That could have been the reason, correct?
You would have been sick of seeing him, right? The effect that Pujara had on him. And actually, it was true, in one of the team meetings, this happened. I don't know where I heard this, but in one of the team meetings, they were showing Pujara's footage, the Australian team dressing room. So, Josh Hazelwood was the first to get up, threw his hat, and he said, "No, man, I'm not seeing him again." I don't want to see this again. So, that was amazing to watch. So, it's interesting. Punjab Kings, guys, what do you feel? Is there any chance of them making to the playoff after, so many years of being in the IPL? And, it's always been a similar story, Abhijit, right?
Yeah, I think they reached playoffs just twice. The first
Mm.
season, and I think in 2014.
And 14, yeah,
I
with
think
George Bailey. Yeah,
yeah, I think Punjab Kings now
yeah,
you know they have taken the approach of Delhi Capitals. So I think if you remember the rabbit and the tortoise race, I think what I've
mm.
seen is Punjab Kings are more like a rabbit. They start off pretty well in the leagues. They play very well, and they
Yeah,
think now I'm gonna definitely reach the playoffs. But just
yeah.
when
They
they
just lose
reach
steam.
the
Yep,
playoff, they fail. And
yep,
this has happened in last two seasons as well.
yep.
So I think if you see, I mean, what I've seen is you need a core Indian hardcore, players that have played well in the Indian team. So I think there is only three
Mm.
players which are right now in Punjab is Mayank Agrawal, KL Rahul, and Mohammad Shami. Apart from
Correct.
this, there's no Indian other player that has represented India. But I
Yep,
think they've done a good job in
yep,
auctions picking up
yep.
Richardson and others. So I think but they miss that X factor.
Mm.
Even though the universal boss Chris Gale is there, but I think to have him, he doesn't run much between the wickets, and again,
Yeah,
he doesn't play
yeah,
much of the matches. So I
yeah.
don't know, like if the they feel confident about their team. Even
Yep,
if you look the team on the paper, it doesn't look very strong.
yeah,
And
yeah,
to motivate such a team and to lead us, I
yeah.
think KL Rahul is doing everything he can. He's scoring runs, he's
Mm.
keeping wickets and everything. So I
Mm.
think it's a lot of and let's see how it goes this time for them.
Yeah, I agree. I think Mahesh, I think I kind of feel for KL Rahul for a lot because last year I felt that there were so many games they did not have any business to lose, right? I mean, how could you lose such games, man? After reaching there, it's the last over, and I mean, I think that's probably what kind of led to their downfall in the last season.
Yeah, they should have won at least a couple of more matches in the initial stages itself. It should have qualified.
Yeah,
But we all
yeah.
forget that they have got the best T20 player in the world in their team.
Universe boss. Yeah,
They got Universe Boss. They got David Malan. He's
Malan.
Yeah,
also
Yep,
there.
yep,
So,
yep.
I wouldn't want to write off anybody at this stage. But like we all know, the T20 is a little bit of a lottery. One guy
Hmm.
like somebody like Chris Gale has a good match. He'll blow the team
Yep,
up away. No,
yep,
he'll just blow the
yep,
opponents away. So
yep,
probably they will have to play Chris Gale right at the beginning, then give him a
yep,
break for a few matches, and then get him to the final part of the tournament. In last
yep.
time, what they did is they did not play him in the first few matches, and then they got him
Correct,
into this game. So you don't expect Chris Gale to play 14 matches.
correct,
Let's agree on that because he's not
correct.
physically fit enough to play 14 matches. So give him play five,
Yes.
6 matches in which he should be able to perform in 3 or 4. Give him a
Yep.
break, get him back again. Okay. And that it should be the strategy of Anil Kumble and Wasim Jafar, but I don't know what is their strategy. The thing is that
Yep.
they might be able to pull it off. You never know, because
Mm.
Mohammad Shami hasn't played a lot of cricket, so I don't know what kind of a form he's in. Rahul
Yep.
showed that he's in good form in the last one day international, but in the T20, he just
Yeah.
could not put bat to ball. So
Yep.
you don't know how people react on certain situations. When you play for your franchise, you play differently. When you play for a country, you play differently. The
Yep.
situations is different. Rahul being the captain has to manage an entire team, so there's a lot more of responsibility on him. Mayank
Mm.
Agarwal played well last time. If you can't discount Puran, Nicholas Puran played very
yeah.
well last time. So they have
Yes.
got a good number of players that they could fall back on. It's just to see that, who plays well and on what day. But all said and
Mm.
done, everything will revolve around Chris Gale. If he's in
Yep.
form, I think there's a lot of confidence that the Kings 11 Punjab will have going into the tournament.
Agreed. Yeah, I think they have been pretty much party spoilers for everybody else, right? They win the first few games, then lose the other few,
I would
then
not bet my money on Punjab.
yeah. Let's see. I mean, let's hope that the name change kind of changes their luck as well this year. Let's see with what happened with Delhi Capitals. At least their performances have completely taken to another level. But I think it's more than just the name change. It's also the planning that has gone, the investment they've done in certain players and youth, as well as their coach. So I think it's a combination of everything. So let's not get carried away with that. Yeah, I think we discussed pretty much everything except for KKR. I think that's another interesting theory, right? With Owen Morgan now the captain, right? That's going to be interesting because last year they had captaincy issues.
Yeah, for me, the interesting pick has been Harbhajan Singh. I want to see
Yeah.
how Harbhajan Singh will bowl for Kolkata Knight
Hmm.
Riders. He played for
Yep.
Mumbai. He's played for Chennai. He's played in two of the best franchise possible, and he's gone to one of the most
Yep.
popular franchises available. So I don't
Correct.
know how much he'll be, how many opportunities he will get with Sunil Narayan. Definitely going to play depending on the
Yep.
wicket and all that. But Harbhajan is an experienced bowler. He
Yep.
might be able to, pull up something which is like you don't
Yep.
expect him to, of course, win all the matches for you, but to me,
Yeah.
he's still got some cricket left in him. It will be very interesting to see. I don't think he will be in the auction next year around, so this could probably be his
Yeah.
last IPL.
Hmm. And I think
I think
I'm
it's
really
interesting.
interested, Abhijit, on. Sorry, I was saying that I'm really interested to see how they'll go because Owen Morgan being such a successful captain, right, in the white ball format,
Yeah.
I think that will definitely play on how they perform because he's so calm under pressure, right? Even in the series that you saw right now, right, in every game, he never looked fluttered or whatever was going against him as well. You never know what's going on in that mind, but on the
Yeah.
outside, he just showed that calmness, which we generally associate with the Dhoni.
Yeah, that's what, all the guys with the cool mind, they wins the World Cup. And I
Yeah,
think, as Mahesh said, the case of Harbhajan is similar to Suresh Raina as well because Harbhajan didn't play the last IPL.
yeah.
So, coming back out of then, he didn't even play the domestic cricket as well. So
Hmm.
to play the IPL again, it's going to be a big thing for both these guys. And as I said, I'm also very interested for watching Harbhajan Singh in
Yep,
the purple and the golden colors.
yep. All right, it will be interesting. Yep, guys, I think that's pretty much about time for today. And looking forward to the IPL and hope that there are no more issues with regards to players and officials testing positive. And I hope it's a smooth tournament. We know
Yeah.
that times are not that great right now with all these cases rising, and just hope for everybody's safety. And this tournament should be successful and conducted successfully in a smooth format. So thanks Abhijit for joining. Thanks Mahesh, and
Thank
looking forward
you.
to next week
Thank
and
you, my
hopefully
brother.
with some more cricket action.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Yeah.